lesson on love, life, and our very own Twin Peaks at 11:25.
Dresses get sparkly with beads and balls. To get the inspiration for the songs on her latest album, which is quite some way to find your muse. But here's what she sung without the benefits of an empty tummy.
Fantastic treat to have you here, Dolly.
Well,
I must say, sort of one of the people I've always wanted to meet. So it's great to have you here. The new album's called Hungry Again.
Mm-hmm.
And you must have been.
Well, I was hungry. What an appropriate title for an album after you go to East Tennessee. Actually, I went up to my old home place where I was born and raised. I had bought that property back years ago.
Did you?
Made a retreat, and so I go up there now and then to fast and kind of get centered and anchored. Well, fasting is part of our religion growing up, so that's not something new to me. And I used to fast sometimes just to lose weight when I was as fat as I was on that Jolene and I Will Always Love You tape.
You're tiny, though.
Well, I'm tiny now. I'm a very small person. I'm only like 5'1" if I'm standing good and tall.
Yeah.
And I weigh about 110 pounds now. But I
good.
have weighed about 150 in my lifetime. But anyway, it was very inspirational. The reason I went to fast to write this particular album, I just wanted to get anchored. I just wanted to kind of restore and just kind of think about what I wanted to do. And I felt I needed to spiritually do that.
Was it also a case, I mean, I know you had a very poverty-stricken upbringing. Was it a case that you were hungry as a child anyway, forget the fasting, and it was a way perhaps of just going back, looping back into your childhood?
It was actually about just going back to walk the same hills that I'd walked as a child, to feel the same feelings that I had then when my dreams were to leave the Smoky Mountains to go out into the world. So when I wanted to write like I was hungry again, meaning hungry for the stardom, hungry for the success, and to sing like I was hungry again, and that title just seemed to be right. It really had nothing to do with the fasting. That just seemed to be the right.
But the fasting had a very direct effect upon your mental state, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Actually, just to clarify how I fasted, I did a juice fast for a week.
Right.
And it was only the second week that I actually did just water. And then the third week, I came off of it again with fruits and juices. So it was more just to get myself, it was for self-discipline. Yeah. And so it really worked real well. But it's easy for me to write. I often go up to the Smoky Mountains to write songs. It just so happened that once I got into that wonderful place, I just started to write, and I couldn't stop. So
what was it about your life that prompted you into wanting to renew this feeling that you had when you first started out? Have you had some kind of personal vision or crisis or what?
Well, actually, 2 or 3 reasons. One being that country music itself, that I have been so much a part of for so many years, has completely changed as far as radio play, and we have all the new and upcoming music now with the new country artists, and they're great. I'm very proud for them, but it's very hard for some of the older artists to find a place on radio.
Not for you.
Yes, even me, especially me. Not, but many of the older artists, but it's very hard to know exactly what to do. So that was one of the reasons I thought, well, what do I need to do to still be part of the country music scene? And that was one of the reasons I went back. It's like I needed to know what I was to do, if I was going to try to cater to that market, or if I should just write from my gut, from my heart, from my feelings, as I always had,
which is what
I did, which is what I decided to do, and that if it was good enough, it would also play with new country, which hopefully it will. The other reason for it being, you asked if there was another crisis. See, I've been doing this since I was 10 years old. I started singing on radio and television at the age of 10, and I'm 52 now, and so I wanted to, I knew what I had done the first 50 years of my life, and I thought, now what really do I want to do for the next 50 years? What do I want to do? Do I want to do more
There's
just
optimism.
music? Do I want to do more movies? Do I want to do, so out of that I realized that I wanted to do exactly what I've always been doing. I just want to do it better.
Yeah.
Not necessarily more of it, but want to do the same thing, but do more quality, and do the same thing in music. I found is still the most important.
You were fantastic in Steel Magnolias.
Well, thank you.
You were absolutely brilliant in that.
Well, I'm
Such a
going to
good
do
film.
more movies. That was another thing that came out of that that summer that I spent thinking, fasting, praying, and just reflecting.
All by yourself, were you? I mean, no company.
Well, actually, the times that I was fasting, I was by myself. I have a brother that lives around the bend of the road, and I knew I could have him there. My best friend, Judy Ogle, who is usually with me with everything, her mother was very ill at the time and passed away shortly after that. So she was spending time there, so it just so happened that I was by myself. And I enjoyed it. It was lonely, but very rewarding.
You still, sounds like you still have quite a strong faith.
Oh, I do.
You do. What was, you said fasting was part of your religion. What is that?
Well, I grew up in the Pentecostal church,
Right.
Church of God, Holy Roller, you can call it any number of things. But in most religions, I think that there is, for self-discipline, there's a lot of fasting. I know that was very common with my mother and with a lot of my family to fast at least one day a week and to take a day, and whether it be on a Sunday or not, but to set a day aside, like to, you know, take it and make a Sabbath day and keep it holy. And I still try to do that on occasion.
Why is it
I'm
you
not
think
a
that-
fanatic, though,
No,
as
no,
far
no.
as religion.
But why is it, do you think, that fasting, and it's true of many religions, fasting is a very important factor in getting back into touch with your faith or with your God? Why does it work, do you think?
I think it's just discipline. It's like it's hard to do. In fact, it's very difficult, and it's painful too, because usually when you're as big a hog as I am, you eat everything. When you start to try to fast, that's why I try to do it with juice and fruit, because just to stop everything, you get these severe headaches, you feel terrible. And it's just about being willing to give up all those things that
You can just slightly almost, do you hallucinate almost? In the
you
last
do.
stages,
What
yeah?
you do when you get into the fast, that's only after the headaches leave. That's only about, to me, I get most spiritual like on the fourth day,
Right.
like after the headaches leave, and then I get kind of lightheaded, and then that's when I start to feel very
And is that when you write your
blessed.
best
Yes,
lyrics?
that's when it starts to come.
And they still make sense when you...
Yeah, they make great
yeah.
sense. But it's not just the words, it's the thoughts that you have that you don't always put on paper, but they're the ones that seem to last. And when it was in that second week when I was just doing water that I had the most spiritual stuff. The other was just more physical, trying to get the body cleaned out enough to where you felt you could get to a more of a spiritual place.
Yeah.
Everyone knows that you had a very, you as a family, you were very poverty-stricken in your childhood. Have you always looked like that, though? I mean, have you always been
You
glamorous?
look like this?
No, you know.
No,
Have you
no.
always been sort of terribly? Because you are incredibly glamorous. So,
Well, thank you.
well, there you are. But did you grow up like that? I mean, were your looks to the sort of forefront of your mind?
No, when I was a child, I was very, you can't be from a family of 12 children living in the mountains doing your work. I was very ugly as a child, but I had a desire to be glamorous. And the people that I thought were the most glamorous were considered like the trash in our county, like the loose women, the trollops.
Oh, really?
Yeah, and
thought they
I
were
thought they
glamorous?
were great. And I thought, and I used to, there was especially this one woman in our hometown that I used to think was so beautiful, and she had the long red nails and the makeup, the blonde hair, and I used to think she was so beautiful. And Mama would say, "Oh, she's just trash." And I thought, that's what I want to grow up to be. I'm going to be trash when I grow up. So, but anyway, I always just wanted to be prettier than I was. I felt so outgoing inside and a bit more outrageous from in here. So I always wanted my look to be that. But no, I didn't feel very pretty. I felt special, but I didn't feel pretty.
Why did you feel special? What made you feel special?
I guess because I could write,
Yeah.
and because I could sing, and because I just had a very outgoing personality. I never met a stranger, and I just felt like I could do things.
And without being in any sense critical of your siblings, did you feel brighter than them? Did you feel that you were perhaps the most intelligent of the family?
Not at all.
No?
In fact, I'm not the most intelligent. I'm not even the most talented. There's so many great gifts in our family. Music came from my mother's side of the family. And so I have brothers and sisters, aunts and uncles and cousins that can write and sing more than me. But what I did have was a little bit of something I got from my dad's side of the family. They were more business-minded. They were more disciplined as far as work and, you know, having to decide on what they were going to do. So I think I got my mom's side of the talent and my dad's side of the discipline, so I managed somehow to put that together. But no, I'm not that smart. I'm just smart where I'm concerned.
Yeah.
And that's all I need
Street
to be. Yeah.
But did you always have a mouth like that?
A mouth? You mean a big talking?
No, she meant the,
what kind of a mouth?
the bow.
What I mean, did you grow up with this wonderful, voluptuous mouth? I'm sorry, I know it sounds
well,
silly.
thank you. No, well, I did have the mouth. I did have, I mean, you have to have a canvas to paint on.
Absolutely.
But yeah, I always had a big mouth. In both ways. I always had the mouth.
Yeah.
What about the bosoms?
Well, I always had
Not
bosoms,
always,
too.
not always, impossible. You've been born like
I didn't know when I was little, but I did always have boobs, and I always did try to play them up, and then the older I got, the more I tried to play them up, and then they became, you know, like I don't know if they support me or I support them. Either way, they've worked well for me, but then I've had them lifted a little bit, and
So what?
I'll do whatever. Yeah, so what? If I need to lift them again, I'll do that too.
Well, just on those.
On those?
Yeah. No, I was just going to say, how old were you when you realised you were going to be a big girl in that
You mean a
department?
big boob girl?
Yeah, big boobs.
Oh,
yeah.
I started growing boobs when I was about 11.
Wow.
12 years old,
Yeah.
And I never was ashamed of them. So I know some kids that start to grow boobs that kind of hide them.
That's right. Yeah.
When I saw I was going to have mine, I was going to show them, I thought,
Yeah.
there's something else I got might be special.
But wait, do you get them from your mum?
Yeah, I mean, you grow up wanting to be trash.
That's true. I thought that's exactly right. I think I created that in my mind because the lady that I told you I was impressed with, she had good ones and she had them pushed together and they had that little place.
What about your mum? Was she
my mother was always had big boobs because she was always pregnant. she always but that also came from my dad's side of the family. My mother's people had nice boobs, but my dad's sisters had gigantic boobs. So that came. So my work ethics and my discipline and my boobs came from my dad's side of the
Mummy's
family.
boobs.
Anything else personal you'd like?
No, I wanted to talk about the genealogy of it, actually.
Can I ask you about yours?
Sadly,
His
none.
boobs are enormous.
Yeah, so I'd have to strap them up. Like the Elizabethans did. I was going to ask about the ancestry of your family. Do you know? I mean, obviously your father was a Parton. What was your mother's maiden name?
Owens.
Owens. Right. So was she from Welsh stock originally?
Well, I think my father's people are English, and I think my mother's people had some. I think they were Dutch.
Really?
I think. I'm not really certain. I don't know all the genealogy that I should about my family, but I know my father's people were mainly English.
And do you know when they came over? When did they emigrate?
I have no idea.
No, don't know.
No, I
It's
wish
just
I
a
knew a little.
dim memory in the past. Yeah.
Dim memory.
And are you still very close to your family?
Very.
So the fact that you've become so famous has not adversely affected your relationships with any of them?
No, I'm very close to my family. They're very close to me, and so many of my brothers and sisters are in the business. They sing, they write, they work, and a lot of them have their own careers. And a lot of my family and relatives work at Dollywood, which is a theme park I have up in East Tennessee, which we have a lot of music on the ground, so a lot of them work there.
What do you get for your dollar when you go to Dollywood? What would I see if I walk around with the kids?
Well, first of all, you go in. We have a wonderful recreational area where we have rides, amusement area, and recreation. But we have lots of music. We have arts and crafts, and really homemade arts and crafts, things that are made on the ground. Like we have dulcimers, a lot of mountain instruments that we make there. We have an active sawmill where they actually make lumber and sell to other places. We have a carriage shop where they actually make carriages and things, and people from all over the world order from there. So you see everything wonderful.
Tell me about the rides then.
There.
My son would want to know this. What's your best ride? What's your best ride?
Well, we have Daredevil Falls as our new ride this year.
Yeah.
It's like a water roller coaster, but next year we're going to have the biggest roller coaster ride in all of Tennessee, and it's called Tennessee Tornado.
Great.
So it's going to be about a $10 million ride. But we have lots of roller coasters, lots of water rides, lots of wonderful things for kids.
Sounds good.
Oh, it's lovely to meet you. It really is. Thank you very much.
Is that it?
Well, I don't
Doesn't
know.
have to be.
Okay. My nose is itching. Can I just scratch it now? You want to go to a break and let me scratch it?
Let's crack on for another couple of minutes because...
Oh, I'm joking.
No, seriously.
Whatever you need to do.
The album's called Hungry Again, right? Is it actually on sale now? Can we pick it up?
Yes, it's on sale now.
Okay. I'm just going to talk about where you started from. You said that you did this because you were a bit concerned about airplay, getting radio play. And I found that impossible to understand. What reason would a DJ who actually works for a country station not play Dolly Parton? I don't understand it, because you're at the centre of it.
Well, let me clarify that.
Yeah.
Now, we do, on all the stations, we will like to have a song played that is a classic, like Once an Hour with some of the old artists, like I Will Always Love You or Jolene.
Right.
But on their programming, you have so many of these new wonderful country artists. It's just very hard to program everybody within that hour. So
I get it now. Okay.
it's really a new day and time.
Yeah.
I'm all for progress. I don't resent any of the new people. I'm just still trying to find my own little place in there, because I still ain't willing to give up and not be part of it.
And just, Judy, just one more thing that you touched on, Judy, when you talked about your fame. I mean, there's fame and there's fame, isn't there? And I like, you know, we could be walking through Heathrow Airport and see, say, a British newscaster, and you say, oh, God, look, it's so-and-so, it's Trevor McDonald or Dan Rather or whatever you say in America. But when people see you, it's only Dolly Parton there, you must sensationalise the world around you as you walk through it.
Well, I am easy to spot. You know, I'm sort of like Mickey Mouse. I'm like a little cartoon. You're going to see me, and I'm going to make sure of it.
Yeah.
You know, and whether it's from the hair to the makeup to the boobs or the way I dress. But that's fine. That's the way I like it.
And are people struck dumb sometimes when they see you?
Well, they seem to, it makes them happy. That makes me happy. They seem to react to me in a good and positive way. It's almost like you've seen your favorite cartoon character. It's like, oh, there's Dolly.
She's real.
Well, I love that. Yeah.
You seem like a very happy person.
Well, I do have a happy heart. I was born with a happy heart. I have my heartaches. I have my hard times, like we all do, because I'm an extremely sensitive person, and I'd like to think deep. So, I mean, it's like I take everything to heart. But I enjoy life. I try very hard to be happy. I try to have a good attitude, and I do. And I've been blessed with that.
Well, it is good to see you.
Thank you. Well, we'll have to have coffee again. I didn't drink it.
It's gone cold now, I'm afraid.
That's all right. You won't get this at home, but she smells fantastic.
Yeah,
what's the perfume?
Well, it's called Dolly.
Oh, too much. Great.
I have some, I'm trying to do a cosmetic line back home, and we're still developing that. We almost had it ready to go at one time, and it didn't quite work out, but it's, I'm working on a line of...
What's the base of that perfume? It's really nice.
I don't even know what it's kind of an oil base. I know that because it makes my hair greasy. If I'm not careful, if I spray it in my hair, my hairdresser hates that part.
It's a great name
but
for
it
a perfume,
does smell
Dolly.
good. I have
it smells great, yeah.
And it's Dolly, what is it? Is Dolly your real name?
Yes, Dolly Rebecca Parton is the name I was born with.
Fab name.
Yeah, I was named after 2 of my aunts.
So Dolly's not short for Dolores, it's actually
it's
Dolly.
Just Dolly.
Yeah. Fancy that.
Yeah, that's a pretty popular mountain name back in the South,
yeah.
Well, you're going to be singing for us, which you can catch at the end of the show. It's called The Salt in My Tears.
Yeah, You Ain't Worth the Salt in My Tears, right from that album.
Nice one.
Okay.
Great stuff. I love country music.
Well, thank you both. It's
lovely
been
to
fun.
meet you.
Good. Come again.
We're taking a break. Coming up, it's the phone-in. Don't forget, of course, Dolly's on at the end of the programme again, and we'll see you then.
Willis will be talking about his latest movie, and Roddy Llewellyn's back in the garden. But we're going to leave you now with Dolly Parton and her new single, The Salt in My Tears. See you soon. Bye.
Bye-bye.